Welcome to our new podcast, The Uncool. I'm Yanling.
And I'm Sean.
And usually on our usual freelance creative exchange podcast, we talk to professionals about how to supercharge their freelance careers. But after speaking to so many people, we were thinking, how did they get so cool? I mean, in order to achieve their successes and fame, they must have been pretty uncool at a certain point.
No matter what kind of successes they have, we get our guests to dish out all the awkward moments that led them to where they are now. Some are even putting the cool in uncool jobs.
So let's go talk to the Uncools.
You know, Yanling, directing is actually a very, very, very simple job.
Yeah, right.
All you have to say is can or cannot. Okay, you try. Extras enough?
Enough?
Lipstick can?
Can?
Should it be red?
Yes.
Should it be green?
No.
There you go, Yanling. You're a director. And that is something our next guest does very well. Our next guest is the Pesta Perdana 2021 winner for Best Director, Mahfuz.
And he's going to be talking about how it's like to direct the first Singaporean drama to ever shoot in New York City in the dead of winter, no less.
So let's find out from Mahfuz why he is uncool. Okay, so this is Mahfuz, the man with the most dramatic beard I've ever seen in my life. So, how long did it take for you to grow this beard anyway?
It wasn't part of the question. Okay lah, I answer you, I humor you. It took maybe about a year and a half. I was filming at that time. It was overseas. And initially, it grew because I was too busy. And then after a while, when I got home after the whole shoot, it was about a month plus. And then I thought it kind of looked quite cool lah.
And then you looked in the mirror and it's like, what is this?
Then I just left it and then we got this.
That is some serious commitment.
Serious commitment not to do anything. That's how lazy I am.
So you recently won the Pesta Perdana 2021 for a series called Kultus.
Yes.
So tell us what led you to this point. What made you who you are today and how did you become so cool?
Yeah, I don't think I'm cool still. I think the story that I did is cool. There's a difference.
But the beard, come on.
The beard is obviously cool lah. Come on, man. Basically, if you look at Kultus, it's basically a family drama. It's about how a father has issues with the son, and how a father is worried about losing his daughter because the daughter is overseas and she's joined a cult. But I just decided, this could happen in Singapore, but why not make it in New York? Why not freeze my off in the cold? It was minus 38. Oh, who cares? But yeah, because we wanted to push ourselves, and I know that my producer had family in New York.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I remember I drove my car to his car park. I said, you come down now, I want to talk to you. And then in the car, I told him, okay, I have this crazy idea. I'm going to film this story about a girl who's studying in the US, and somehow she got involved in a cult. And the brother from Singapore flies to New York and searches for her in upstate New York. And then his response, I still remember to this day, clear as day, was, huh? Are you serious? And he thought long and hard. And I explained to him, I was like, it can work. It's the same as filming in Singapore. It's just going to be much tougher, much colder. But everything else is the same. And eventually he kind of bought into the idea, because filming overseas is not new. But a lot of people choose to film, when they do filming overseas, it's usually love stories. And love stories are easy to do. You plant your camera there behind a nice backdrop, something foreign, and then you have two people walking hand in hand, done. They have dialogue, done. It's easy. To do a thriller in New York, where you have to run around the alleys, I basically made them search for a house with a fire escape. I made them look for a barn in upstate New York. And I think this goes back to your point being, how cool would it be if, let's say, we shot this guy running in the snow, freezing, being chased by a cult? How cool would that be? I was like, pretty damn cool. And that's why we decided to do it. It was a real story. At that time, there was this thing that's happening. It's called NXIVM. I don't know whether you know it. NXIVM. It's the cult where this actress from Supergirl, Alison Mack, she was involved in. There was Kristen Kriuk. There was this cult that was going on where they had women, and these women happened to be rich, high-profile actresses and all that, and then everyone joined the group as a kind of like a self-improvement thing. But actually, it turned out to be like a sex cult of sorts, you know, controlled by this guy. I cannot remember his name, but the cult name is Nexium. And Nexium was happening in Albany, which is like where we filmed at, 1 hour away, not that far away. So I was reading that, and then I was doing a bit of research about the cults, and it was upstate New York and this and that. Then I remembered Nexium, upstate New York. Then I remember, oh, my producer Iskandar, he has family in New York. Like 2 and 2 together. So I was like, maybe I can create a story from that. And actually, I do know of, I don't know whether it's true. I heard some people say that the reach for Nexium is actually not just in New York with Americans, but it was kind of worldwide. Some of the actresses here even knew about Nexium, or knew of someone who was in the group. Basically there's like a 6 degree of separation between, you know, whatever people that I know in New York, in Singapore, and that cult in New York, which was amazing. So that was when I decided to like, okay, let's just chart this whole story out and see where it goes. And then from there I went to the car park, and you know that story lah.
It's actually like the first thriller shot in New York, I mean, for Singapore production, in any language.
Yeah, in any language, I believe so, yes.
And in the dead of winter.
In the dead of winter. We weren't expecting it to be that cold, in all honesty. It was.
How cold was it?
Okay, initially we were supposed to film in November.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it's not that cold. It's the beginning of winter. It's still cold, but it's not that bad. But there were some delays, and we couldn't film in December because it's Christmas. We couldn't get actors then, and then everyone's back with their families. So we had to film in January, which is, the locals say it's a stupid time to do filming. Even the locals don't do that, because in New York, January means audition season. Because it's too cold, so people do auditions for the upcoming shows in summer.
I see.
You know? So they do the filming in spring, and then they release in summer. So that period, nobody works technically. Only us, these crazy fools from Singapore. I think we didn't expect how cold it was going to be. First day when we were filming, it was like, it's fine, it's just 0. That's normal, it gets normal.
Right, do you mean Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Celsius.
Celsius, okay.
We had to always remind them that, no, we do Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So it's like, it's 0, it's fine, you know, you can get through this. But midway through filming, we had to go through so much. It was the polar vortex, which means it's the coldest. When you see the news during that period, it was like planes landing in New York, but they couldn't open the door because it was frozen shut. That's how cold it was. Minus 28, minus 30, that kind of thing. And on top of that, they had snowstorm happening as well.
Yeah.
So in the midst of it, I still remember it was really, really cold, and we didn't want to go outside, but I told the guys, we flew so far. There's beautiful snow, you know, falling outside. You know, I think I want to film it, but I'm not gonna sit inside the room and look through the monitor. If you guys are gonna go out, I'm gonna go out with you in the cold, and we're gonna film it together. If you guys say yes, because I don't want them to do something that they don't want to do. And I said, yeah, we're gonna do it. So we all trashed out. We don't have a lot of stuff. We had like the motel towels covering. I had a motel towel covering because of the snow and all that. But it was the most beautiful shot. And we had trucks passing by, and then they were honking, and my grip was like, hey, dude, hey. It was like,
so it's almost like an accident.
No, it wasn't an accident. Basically, where he initially was like, oh, these guys are friendly. I told my grip, I don't think they're friendly. I think they're telling you to get indoors. Because it's cold. You shouldn't be outside. You freeze your off.
But the snow was nice, I guess. It's a nice coincidence, I guess.
The snow was a nice coincidence. It was nice. But the next morning when we wanted to go out filming, we can't, because the house was buried like with this high.
Oh my goodness. So you can't open the door?
We can't open the door. When we opened the garage door, we couldn't see outside. The cars were buried deep in snow. I got photos. And so the first thing that we did wasn't even breakfast, it was shoveling snow. Shoveling snow so that we can get out. And then we couldn't even get out because there's too much snow. We had to call the guy with the snow plow.
Yeah, right. As a producer, I'm thinking like,
overrun, oh my god. But you know what I think this was when November No, January 2018? 2019?
2018. Filming was in 2018. Yes.
Oh, I see. So this was also around the time when there was a lot of no, I don't mean to get political here, but there's a lot of immigration constraints because of the Trump administration.
Oh
and
yes,
this rules.
yes.
So
Dear
and I
Mr.
think,
Trump didn't like a lot of people like me.
So it kind of, and then you walk in with this beard as well, and I'm like, oh, this is one suspicious guy.
Even at immigration, I knew I was going to be targeted. You knew, you know. And I was being the nicest guy there, you know, at immigration. I struck a conversation. Hi there, you know. Oh, what are you doing? We're doing some filming. Oh, you do TV. We had this really great conversation. I felt like the guy was warming up to me. And then he said, Code Orange. Or something like that. I can't remember what word he used, but he said that. Then I was like, then he looked at me and he smiled. I was like, nothing personal. You just know how it is. I was like, yep, right, sure. So we spent like a few hours. Everyone, beard or no beard, everyone had to spend a few hours at the airport to clear the customs. But after that, it was good. You know, New York is a great place to film because it's a film-friendly city. So you don't get stopped. You get bothered by, you know, weird. I wouldn't say weird, but characters. Whenever they see the camera, you get that. But other than that, they don't bother you. The police don't bother you, and all that. So it was all in all a great period. Apart from the cola, you needed a permit was when you want to close roads to film.
Serious.
So we weren't that big. So like, you know, we're not going to close like whatever roads and whatnot. You know, it's just. There were like 11 of us. There were just 11 of us here, including the actors.
On that note, because you're such a small group from Singapore, you're not exactly a major production, and you were saying that the actors are all they're all auditioning for, you know, maybe the next big thing or something. So how do you get any American actors to come and work with you?
The guys who are acting are really, really good actors. I mean, of all the audition clips, right, I found very few who were bad actors. We were choosing, you know, which one would be best suited for it. It's not like, okay, like, we don't have a choice. We have this guy. He seems like he remembers his line. We'll take him. It's not that, you know. We were like, oh, this guy is really good. Oh, this guy acted in, I cannot remember which show. He was an extra for ER. Or something like that. He was big, man. He was a really good actor, but we found this guy who was, he did a few short films. He was Kevin Bacon, in that Kevin Bacon show. So we were like, okay, this is perfect. We're going to do a show about cults, and this guy was an extra in, you know, The Following, which is also a story about cults. He's in. And it was the perfect choice. It was great. And then when we were there, you know, some actors actually backed out. Some actors came to set, thought we were an actual cult, reported us to the police. Ate my mac and cheese and left, man. Oh, very rude. Basically, that's what he did. He ate the mac and cheese, and then he looked at us and was like, I think this is a real cult. He went off. He called the actual police. The police came. I thought the policeman was an extra. It was my extra because we actually had a marshal. They was like, who's in charge here? Then I was like, I turned around and gave him this stare like, why is he in my set? Why is this extra making noise? Then I was like, talk to my producer, he's inside. So he went in and was like, what did that extra want? And I was like, that's not an extra, dude.
What did the extra want?
I don't have money for such props, man. Because he had like the nice badge and
NYPD,
the gun, everything.
NYPD.
Yeah. It wasn't NYPD, that one was Upstate. Yeah. But he was like really, you know, decked out and like, oh yeah, it makes sense. We don't have budget. I was wondering how you got the guy to look so realistic.
Having a cult is not against the law or something.
He just wanted to check it out. After he found out, he was fine, go ahead and film, and then he walked off. I think they just wanted to make sure that nothing weird, you know, is happening.
Like you were gonna do debauchery on your cars or something.
I think so, because in the scene in the show, we actually have a scene where the girl is being branded by a hot iron. It's in the first scene where the guy is actual. You know, we actually have a brand. We put it in the fire, and then we actually like.
So he thought you were gonna hurt her or something.
Maybe we didn't shoot that scene yet, but I think after like reading or whatever, then he was a bit scared. But you know, when the police came, initially I was a bit angry, but after he left, we were thinking like, okay lah, I think we're on the right track. That's what I told the cast and crew. I think we're on the right track. If the Americans think that we are a cult, we're there. The story is solid.
This is
Your
what
acting is solid. It's great that we were filming in New York because, in terms of the network that the actors had, it was easy. In terms of like filming equipment, we could get it there. You can just rent it there. And like I said, we got it for cheap, the equipment, because nobody was filming at that time.
Oh, right.
off
right?
season.
Yeah, it's off season, so the equipment would be stuck in their warehouse or store somewhere. So they were like, okay, we'll give you like 3 jokers, these apertures and these whatever lights and whatnot, $500 for the whole 2 weeks. You can't get that anywhere else.
No way.
I'm not kidding.
So, but on that note, because you're filming in the cold in these conditions, I'm sure your equipment requirements were very different from what you used to work with.
We filmed with the same equipment that we filmed in Singapore. We were very careful. We were because the camera could only operate. The threshold is -16, if I'm not wrong. That's the camera threshold. So we knew it couldn't stand the cold. We didn't have a proper like jacket for the camera, so we wrapped it up. We wrapped the battery, we wrapped the camera in blanket and whatnot. But it was so cold, it died. It still died, and every time it died, everyone would like, okay, let's get around. Let's get around the camera. If you got prayers, you can see your prayers. If not, I just need your warmth. And then we waited because it was so cold. It was, I remember that day. Remember, it was -22, and it was already how many degrees below the threshold. I still remember one of these actors. He had a shop selling churros. So he has an industrial fridge back home. So basically, he has this shop back home, and the shop that stores all his like whatever frozen materials and whatnot. And he commented that it was so cold that it was -28. And he said the freezer that I have, the industrial freezer that I have back home for my business, goes only to -22, and this is -28.
So do you take it as a heater? You basically put it
It's
inside
better
there,
than
warm it
outside.
up at a -16.
I never thought you'd say this, right? The freezer is warmer than what is outside.
The freezer, really, we went shopping, and then it was a crew of 11. It wasn't a crew of 11, there were 11 of us, including crew and talents and whatnot. And obviously the fridge wouldn't fit. So the lady who, we were staying in this lady's house, and she said, just put it in the garage.
You don't need a fridge.
You don't need a fridge. It's that cold. And it was frozen. And then for like, raw stuff like chicken and whatnot, we didn't dare put it, in the garage because we were scared that, mice or whatever would come. So we actually dug a hole in the snow. And we put like the chicken and the French fries and whatever nuggets that we bought, and then we bury it in the snow. And we're like, hopefully the coyote doesn't get it, but and the coyote didn't. It was too cold
for the coyote.
It was too cold for the coyote. So the chicken was like, it was the best. I mean, the cold really does something to you. It makes it really uncomfortable to shoot. I mean, there was, in one instance, there was a scene where the guy had his hand cut. It was a scene, and the scene he was supposed to wash off the wound with a bottle of water. So in one take, it was bottle of water, he took off his glove, washed the wound, and then he put it down, and then he has his lines. One take was about 2 minutes, thereabouts. I cut, and I said, let's go for another take. I'm going to take the close-up of you pouring the water. Then the actor said, bro, I don't think it's possible. I said, why? Then he picked up the bottle of water. It was frozen on the outside. Already frozen. I'm not going to pour this on my hand. Sorry. Okay, we just take that white shot. I was like, okay. It was that tough. We had to run. We had to we couldn't build. There was no heater in the barn. We were shooting in places like barns and all. It was not like a nice apartment. It was an old abandoned barn. So there was no way to fix heaters and whatnot. And when the wind came, my grip, the CA, his job was basically incoming, because we could hear the wind coming. So once he said incoming, we were like all braced, because when it hits you, it's really cold. And then we had to run out. We set up fires. There was a scene where in this barn we had like this nice fire. I mean, visually it was nice, but it was just to keep us alive, basically. We were freezing. So we just kept burning. It was like, will the owner care if we burn? I don't think he cares. Let's just burn it. Don't care. We need to survive. We need to survive New York. Few more days of shoot. Few more days of shoot. That's basically what we did, man.
So from all these stories that you were telling us about the experience under the production, was there any one moment where you thought, okay, I'm never going to live this down for the rest of my life?
I mean, at that time I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking, I need to survive.
Firewood.
I need to bring keep the fire burning. I need to bring back my crew in one piece, because literally they were falling apart. One night my crew he said he can't feel his feet.
Oh.
He can't feel his feet, and when I looked at it, it was blue.
Oh my God.
So I carried him to the washroom, carried him over my shoulder, put his feet in the thing because he can't move. Put his feet onto the sink, then put the tap on hot, and then just let the water flow. I didn't even know I was doing the right thing. It was just, can you feel your feet now? That was what I kept asking. Can you feel your feet now? Can you feel your feet now? Can you feel your feet now? I was like, I need to send him to the hospital, and the hospital is like 1.5 hours away. Can you feel your feet now? And then after about a good 10 minutes, thereabouts, he said, okay, I can start feeling my feet already.
Oh my goodness.
So it was so bad. So at that time, we were thinking of survival. We were thinking of doing a good show. We didn't compromise. We wanted this to look like the coolest we could ever do with this limited budget that we have, with this limited crew. Yes, we did think that. But at the back of our heads, we were thinking of surviving. But after the whole thing was done, we looked at it and we were like, I think it's amazing that we actually did that. I think this is pretty cool. I can't believe we actually achieved this. But now that I'm back, I was thinking, I think we can do more. I think we can actually do more. I think I want to do cooler stuff.
Colder stuff.
So that's the moment.
Not colder stuff, cooler stuff. A lot of difference.
So that's the moment you cannot live down. Putting feet under hot steaming water. That's the moment
That
that's
was
you're
scary.
thinking. Yeah. Oh man, you saved his toes, man.
We spoke a lot about the cool film that you made, the cool series that you made. But how about before? What were you doing before?
Before
you decided to...
How did you even get this cool anyway?
How did I even get to the cool projects? But yeah, before this, I never thought of awards. I never thought about doing any of the cool stuff. I was always thinking of doing good projects. I believed in that. But at that time, the thinking was, I need to make a living. I need to put food on the table. Whatever jobs are. Family struggle. Exactly, right? Every freelancer out there would know where I'm coming from. You don't know when your next paycheck is gonna come in. You take whatever job that is given to you. So at that time, I was doing all sorts of projects like your normal family dramas, and your infos and your documentary and your travel logs, and it's fun and nice, and I try to push the boundaries every time I do this, because deep down I know that I can do more, but at the same time I think that fear of if I don't take up this next project, where am I gonna live on? I did pitch for all the normal jobs and whatnot, the normal job. But I had this crazy pitch. Normally, I would have one crazy pitch, and the network would say no. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But with this pitch, I really knew I wanted to do it. So when I pitched for it to the network had a lot of comments, a lot of concerns, and rightly so, because we are a small company that's going to New York to film a thriller. It's not been done before, and it sounds like a crazy, fanciful idea without placing too much thought into it. At that time, I thought I wouldn't get that job, but I remember my final line was this: I have the idea, and this is what I told the network people. They had the idea, and I have the resources in terms of, and the knowledge of how to do this filming in New York, a thriller. You're not going to get this chance ever again, I think, in the near future. So it's up to you. I know it's a crazy idea, but this is an opportunity. You give me the money and I'll get you a 13-episode drama filmed in New York.
It's almost YOLO.
Yeah, I got nothing to lose.
So everyone now knows, if you ever want to do a successful pitch, you just need to say, you'll never get a chance like that again. You'll never get a chance like that again. And you're going to win this pitch.
You can try.
But what I thought was fun, what I thought was very interesting is that you didn't even come from a media background.
Yes.
You never went to the conventional route of going to a media school, film some video at Poly and so on. You did something else.
Yeah.
So how did that? What did you do, and how did you end up on this path of directing?
You have to remember that I am a product of my age. At that time, basically at that time I wanted to join Masscom, but I didn't really know how. We didn't have the technology like the internets and whatnot, and then the open houses. It wasn't really clear. I ended up not joining Masscom. I took chemical engineering. But deep down I knew I wanted to write. So after I finished and gotten my diploma in chemical engineering, I thought, I'm not going to let this go down to waste, especially after like the attachment. I was working in a plastics factory, and I was thinking to myself, this is not what I want to do. In 30 years, I'm not going to do this, making plastics in this smelly factory. So that was when I decided to actively make this change. But I knew the path would be very, very, very difficult. And at that time, it was an age where, if you want to be a cameraman, you go and be an apprentice to this DOP. If you want to learn how to be a grip, you go and go to sets and learn how to fix lights.
Yes.
Get scolding, So I thought, let's just do that. Let's just try, because I obviously don't have the qualifications. I need to get my foot in the door. So it was then that I took a script writing class. And at that time, I was doing three things. I was working in Borders. I work in Borders in the night, 7 to 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning. And then after that, I would sleep. And then after that, I would go to work in MediaCorp to write. After learning how to write scripts, I would go to work. And then that was what I did. Just to learn how to do it. And then I did all sorts of things. I did not just writing. After I figured out how to write, I wanted to see how life was on the set. And then there was no easy way to do it but to become an extra. So I became an extra. Then I became an actor in a Chinese drama. That was weird. It was weird.
I know. He speaks better Chinese than me.
I speak Chinese. I wouldn't say better, but I speak Chinese. It was my second language.
How did that happen?
That one was a really uncool part of my life, man. I was the only Malay boy who took Chinese as a second language. All the Malay boys played soccer. I was studying like Chinese. Really not cool. It was bad, man. But yeah, my parents thought learning Chinese would give me an edge. So yeah, that's what I did. So from there I was being on sets. Then I was helping people write, and then I was following directors. And then learning. I did a lot of mistakes. I got scolded by the Chinese director. The Chinese Channel 8 directors were scary, man. I memorized this whole chunk of dialogue, and then suddenly on set, the director did like what we do, would take the lines and like, this one is too extra, no point saying this, let's shift this around, we read this, Then you have to memorize that like 15 minutes before the scene starts.
And then you have to know what you're saying so you can act it.
Yep, exactly. So I was like, and that scene, I still remember that scene. And I was supposedly the principal, and then there was supposedly an angry parent. And then the angry parent would always smash the table, because he's angry. Wait, some more water, bomb! And every time he did that, right, I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, after this you have to say this, after this you have to say this, after this you have to say this. And then, wait, some more! Then I was like, I forgot everything, man. My mind went clean. And then when I hear, 为什么你那么笨？这几句也不可以念，哇老！ I was like, 拍摄，不好意思。OK， 再来一次，可以吗 ？OK， 可以。It was that, man. It was bad. If you want Uncool, that was the epitome of Uncool on set. That was bad.
How can you not like people and be introvert when you're a director and working in this line?
I think there's a word for it, I'm not sure, but I think it's a social introvert. I'm not saying I hate people, but I prefer the quiet moments when I'm alone, when I'm in my own world. I think being a director, you need to have that social part, but when you want to become a writer, you need that part where you are an introvert and you live in your own world, and that's when the stories come. I guess that balance is what makes me a writer-director, and I think it's important to have those. I like being, I wouldn't say in the limelight, I like being out and about with people and whatnot, but I also like my own quiet time where I can like sit down and enjoy my own company and create all these stories in my head, and I think that's crucial when I want to write.
When you sink in your own world, basically. So.
Yeah, because if I were to talk about the stuff that happens up here, people are going to think I'm nuts. Sociopath maybe. Yeah, but if it stays in here, then it will come out in the script. So I think that works out. Not a social butterfly, not the crazy rich Asian kind of like, darling, this is so wonderful to meet you. I don't do that. I can do that apparently, quite good at it, but I don't want to do that.
Why do you think then Borders was the place to be back at the time when you were working there?
It was an age where there was not a lot of information available freely. That's the first thing. You don't have the internet, you don't have smartphones, but people are still inquisitive and curious. I mean, they will go to the library, same result, you still get knowledge, but you don't get to see cute people. It's like, every time you go to Orchard Road, you watch a movie or you hang out with friends, but this time around, all those introverts can go to a bookstore in Orchard Road, meet other like-minded people, get hit on, not get hit on. I think it's fun because when you talk to people in Borders, it's very different. For other bookstores, if you ask for a book, they'll say, it's in this aisle, this one, row number what, that's your book. But if you go to talk to someone in Borders, you say, I'm looking for this book. Oh, you love this? I know this guy who absolutely loves this author. Let me introduce him to you. And then he or she will bring you and then we'll talk, and then we will talk about the book. And we were encouraged to do that in Borders at that time. And then you have an actual conversation with the person, and then not only talk about that book but other books as well. And then from there, the reason why they encourage it is because when they know that when sometimes people don't know what they like. Let's say you like horror or thriller, or if you like history, then they'll come and say, this guy loves history, you should talk to him. And then we talk about history and this and that, and then the person with the intention of buying one book would end up buying 3.
A pile of it, yeah.
Because
if he doesn't, he will regret it. Did that shape any way how you are as a director now?
Yes.
Or in Kultus?
Definitely, because I tend to pick a lot of things from whichever, either line of work or whoever that I'm interacting with. And, I try to pick up little things and then I put them in the story. And it goes at the back of my head, and then when I'm writing a script or when I'm creating a story, it all comes out. But when you are put with a bunch of, for the lack of a better word, and I mean this in the most endearing way, weirdos, you get a lot of ideas, man. You get a lot of things, and they were talking about unconventional stuff. It's a different language, but it's all information, and it all gets stored in the back. And then from there, all these things become fantastical stories. And you also get exposed to the books. I'm thankful for that. You read a lot of stuff. It was also at that period where I decided to I should try to really pursue this thing that I love, which is writing. And that was when I started learning from MediaCorp. I did this show called Donnie Lee Show.
The Hossan Leong one.
With Hossan Leong. the concept for the show was that it's like a Muppet show but with live people, and Hossein Leong is gonna be Kermit. And I was like, okay, clear. I got it. I'll write it.
So was that the first show you ever wrote?
Yes, that was the first show, and they let me write one script. What I miss most is the writer's room. At that time, I didn't miss it. Going to the writer's room means, if you want to talk about Uncool, that's Uncool. Basically, you go in with this script and then you're really proud of it and you think this is the best thing I've written ever. Yeah, it gets torn to shreds. When you go into that room, I wasn't prepared the first time. Go in, everyone reads the thing, and then everyone's like, no, this doesn't work, this is stupid. Well, no. How about this line? And then it gets torn to shreds, really, whatever. It's like your baby is like, no, ugly, cut. Ugly, this, that.
Yeah.
And basically like,
But that's also quite fun, isn't it? Because everyone goes in with the objective of trying to make a better episode or better show.
The first time when I went into it, I wasn't mentally prepared. I didn't know what a writer's room was, and it was sad. It was really, the dejection that you felt. But after that, you realize when you retype the script, right, based on the feedback that they've given you, you realize that it's better. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And this guy would be, is so brilliant with, some of the writers are so brilliant with like the quips and the lines and all that. And it's things that you don't think of. So when you rewrite your script, and then you realize, hey, this is a lot better. This is seriously a lot better. And so after that, I realized that when you become a writer, or in life basically, sometimes you just have to chuck your ego aside. Go in, and then get prepared to like be slammed or whatever. Because if they slam you for the right intentions, because at the end of the day, everyone's intention is, I want to make sure that that thing is better. So that whatever that comes out is interesting, it's worth watching. So if you go in with that mindset, it will and actively go in and not be so defensive, because sometimes these days some writers are very defensive about their script. They go in and like, no, you don't understand where I'm going with this. I'm going to. Then you build up walls and you prevent people from breaking it down. Your stories don't get better. A lot of people don't have that benefit these days. They know how to tell a story and it's there. It's like everything is there. But with the benefit of structure, that whole storytelling would be much stronger. So with different people with different skill sets, it will definitely improve your script. With Kultus, I didn't have that luxury, so I have to play that multiple personality in my head lah. One person is doing story structure, one person is telling you a schizophrenic experience. Somebody was saying, no, this is stupid, no, this is not bad, I think I can make it. No, you're stupid. It's like, yeah, I'm stupid. That kind of thing. Then you write lah.
But you followed through the same rules of structure.
But the same rules of structure and setup and all that.
So, Mahfuz, from chemical engineering, you moved on to going to MediaCorp, going to screenwriting, going to being an extra, and being a little elf in Borders. That was your uncool period. So what do you think, looking back now, would you say to your uncool self?
Engineering pays better. Go stick to engineering. Go work with Elon Musk. Make your money. Okay. But if you really want to do TV or film, then get one foot in the door. Try to do something. If you want to write, then write. If you want to direct, then learn how to direct. Start doing stuff. If you want to direct, then do a short film, do a simple film with your handphone. Doesn't matter. Go and participate in competitions, and then improve. The thing is, you're not going to be great at your first try. You're going to watch that thing and you're going to think, oh, this is the most awesome thing I've done. It's not. And you have to understand that. But you cannot stop and you have to keep on trying, and eventually it will be great.
So Mahfuz, if people want to find out more about you and your work, where can they follow you on social?
I am on the socials, IG, FB. Search for Big Fooz, like Bigfoot, but Fooz because of my name.
Thanks for listening, and thank you to Mahfuz for being our guest.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe to The Uncool or rate us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Just search for Freelance Creative Exchange and you can find more episodes of The Uncool or others in our series. And then you click follow.
Also, share with us and celebrate the uncool moments by going to any social media platforms and using the hashtag FCEUncool.
We want to hear from you, and remember, it's cool to be uncool.